Good morning, America. How are you? How are you, America? As for me, right at the moment, I'm doing good. I'm steady. I got an even keel going on right at the moment. Um, Point is, the thing about this started last night and went in early this morning. And early this morning, I was in a bad way. I lost my shit. Is what happened. I'll tell you about it. Point is, as I've said, I'm better now. I'm feeling great right now. But point is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Point is, I'm striving to be an adult because I'm starting a club. It's called the Adults of America Coalition. All right, and as my youngest adult son pointed out to me, he's in my own all of my children. I got 3 adult children. They'll all basically attest the fact that I don't qualify by my own. I don't meet my own criteria as being an adult. Therefore, starting a club called the Adults of a Coalition is like kind of oxymoron coming from a guy like me. However, I do qualify as an adult. I do one parameter in my defense, I'm striving to be an adult. By my definition, an adult is someone who can navigate their emotions and regulate their behaviors. All right, as I alluded to earlier this morning, my emotions overwhelmed me. I was overwhelmed with the emotion of shame this morning, okay? I was overwhelmed with the emotion of shame. And as a coping mechanism, as a skill, I'll just get right to it. It's a triangle. It's a triangle. Side A represents brilliant white light. All right, simple. Side B of the triangle represents the opposite of brilliant white light, which is what? The opposite of brilliant white light? Well, that's darkness. Just total pitch black darkness, extreme black darkness, extreme brilliant white light. All right, simple. Bottom, the base of the triangle, this is the important part. This is what we call dynamic awareness, okay? Dynamic awareness. What's dynamic awareness? Well, first of all, it means it's awareness that's moving. Like for me, I think of it like as an alley cat slinking back and forth in an alley between dumpsters, looking for a mouse or whatever, or a rat. That's how my awareness is. It's like a slinking alley cat in the alley. Okay, like I said, it's dynamic. Awareness is dynamic. Like I said, my awareness may differ from yours. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what there's 8 billion people on the planet, and there's 8 different perspectives of what awareness is. I mean, every individual person as a sentient being has to define what awareness is in their own terms. Like me, my half-assed way to describe it is, like I said, an alley cat going back and forth between these extremes of extreme black and extreme light. And like I said, the bottom part is the awareness. So where I followed up this morning is my awareness got stuck. My alley cat got stuck. I don't know why. Forget about the alley cat. My awareness, it wasn't dynamic anymore. I wasn't dialed in. I wasn't walking down the center. Awareness. All right, here we go. This is in my definition of awareness. Awareness is a tightrope walker. A tightrope walker. I want you to sit back and imagine a tightrope walker with those things, the big poles, and walking on this tightrope. Sure, there's a net. There's a net. It's not so bad. There's a net. But you got to walk that tightrope between brilliant white light and darkness. And that's what the awareness is. Sorry, I had to pause it for a second there. I caught myself getting a little spastic, I was getting a little ahead of myself. So anyway, let's just define terms. We gotta, this is my coping mechanism. And like I said, I was really depressed, and because I was consumed in this, my awareness was fixated on shame. My awareness, I was overwhelmed with the emotion of shame. And as I said earlier, as an adult, I strive to navigate my emotions. Well, this morning I was not navigating the emotions at all. This morning I was not navigating my emotions. I was overwhelmed with them. Like I said, the emotion was shame. The problem is, awareness. Awareness only works if it's dynamic. That's the key. That's why I made the alley cat reference, and that's why I talk about the tightrope walker. It's awareness is dynamic. It's got to, if awareness stops, that's a danger zone. So in my case this morning, my awareness stopped Or in the tightrope walker's case, he stopped, froze, and if you're a tightrope walker holding on to the pole and you stop, sure enough, you're going to tumble. Therefore, awareness has to remain dynamic and in flux and malleable. Because if it's not, then you get yourself into a pickle. Okay. I don't know. It worked for me. It works for me. Knowing that my framework, knowing that I exist as an aware essential being, knowing that I have to keep my sorry about all these choppy pauses. That's all right though. It's a blessing in disguise. I needed to sit back and collect my thoughts anyway. As I said, I was getting a little ahead of myself, getting a little manic, perhaps. Point is, I'm gonna the point. Yeah, the point is, if you can maintain that tightrope walk, if you can keep if you can keep bobbing and weaving, if you can keep going on that, and you can maintain your equilibrium, and you can keep yourself dialed in, as they say, in between what? Brilliant white light and extreme black and white extremes. Walk that tightrope right down the center, right in the center of that triangle in the interior. That's where binary thinking stops being binary. It stops being black and white. It becomes analog. It fluxes. Everything's on a spectrum. Everything. If you can walk that tightrope in between the center of this triangle, this adult's triangle, then the reward is courage. And better yet, you find your confidence. You find confidence. Like right now, I'm feeling, on the confidence scale, I feel like about a 7 out of a 10, which is good because earlier this morning, my confidence was like -9. There was no confidence. Because why? Because I fell off the tightrope. Why? Because my awareness stopped being dynamic. You got to keep that awareness in flux. And the awareness, think of it as a spotlight on a stage. The director, spotlight on the actors or the setting or the scene, zooms in, pans out. That's your awareness. But like I say, you got to define awareness on your own terms. And I don't know. I call it the adult's triangle. I use it to cope with stressful emotions. I use the devil's triangle to help keep me. It helps me it helps me from losing my shit, basically. And believe it or not, talking about it, even though I realize I'm not articulating it very well at all, but believe it or not, talking about it makes it even more. It's a work in progress. Adult's triangle. I'm gonna quit torturing you now. It's been 8 minutes and I feel better. Adult's triangle. Pure white, pure darkness, dynamic awareness. It keeps me straight. It works for me. Maybe it could work for you too. Adults of America Coalition.